Hi class, today we're going to do our last section in chapter 10, which is equations of circles. So we're coming full circle, ha 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 ha. All right, our objectives today are to write the equation of a circle and to be able to graph the circle on a coordinate plane. All right, so let's start off. We're going to do equation of a circle, and we're going to actually be doing it in standard form. All right, so we have two things. We have a center, and that is a point, and we call that HK. And you want to think about this, the H is your X and the K is your Y. Then we also have our radius, and we use R to represent radius. So our equation is going to be X minus H squared plus Y minus K squared equals our radius squared. So when you're looking at this, when you plug it into the equation, you're actually plugging your H and your K in, and they are becoming opposite with that minus sign there. All right, so write the equation of a circle with a center at 1, -1, and a radius of 7. All right, so this is our H and our K and our R. So we're just going to go ahead and plug it in. So X minus our H squared plus Y minus our K squared equals our radius squared. Okay, so here we can go ahead and simplify and change this into plus plus. So we get X minus 1 squared, that's going to stay the same, plus Y plus 8 squared, and 7 squared gives us 49. All right, and then that's it. So pretty basic with actually just plugging the information in. If we look at number 2, it says write the equation of a circle with a center at 4, -1. So we have H and K with a diameter of 8. So remember, we are using radius for the problem. So if our diameter is 8, our radius is 4. You guys can go ahead and plug that in all on your own. It's not too difficult. All right, number 3, write the equation of a circle with a center at the origin and a radius of square root of 10. All right, if it's an origin, remember the ordered pair for an origin is 0, 0. So we're going to have x plus 0. Oh, I retract that. We're going to have x minus 0 squared. I know it really wouldn't make a difference, but we want to make sure that we're sticking with what the formula says. Y minus 0 squared equals our radius squared. So we're not going to change square root of 10 into a decimal and use it. We're going to actually use it with the square root. So if we look here at our x term, we can simplify that to x squared. Plus, we're going to do the same thing to our y term, y squared. And then here at the end, a square root and a square are opposite, so they cancel. So we leave it with 10. See, that's why we wanted to leave with the square roots there. All right. This time it says write the equation of a circle with a center at 1, 1 and passes through -2, 4. Then graph the circle. All right, so if it passes through to -4, that means that the circle is actually at that point. And so from our center to that point, that's going to be a radius. So if we want to find the distance of that, we're going to use our distance formula. So our radius is going to, and now it doesn't matter which order you use these points. I'm just going to do 4 minus 1 squared plus -2 plus 1 squared. And let me write out that distance formula here for you. For those of you who may have forgotten, y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. All right, distance formula. Not quite sure where I got my black statement from. Pause it and look at the blue statement, look at the black statement, and then see where things came through. All right, 4 minus 1 gives me 3 squared, and -2 plus 1 gives me -1 squared. And that's going to turn into 9 plus 1, and here we have square root of 10. This is our radius, and let's leave it with a square root and see how it goes into our formula. All right, so we're going to do x, and then we have -1. So again, we're using our HK squared plus our y minus 1 squared equals, here we have the square root of 10, and we know we have to square it, so think back to our just previous problem in 3, and we know it's going to change to 10. Now that's the radius squared. So now this next part asks us to graph it. So we want to know what the square root of 10 is, and it comes out to be about 3.16. So here's how we graph it. We graph our ordered pair over at 1, 1, and graph that point. Oh, you know what? I just realized my worksheet and my notes don't jive. Here, this is a -1. So go back, just double check. Sorry for that error. So then we want to have our ordered pair. I thought that looked weird. We'll be over at -1, 1. So there's our center. All right, so we have our center graphed, and now we're going to use our radius to help us draw. So our radius is about a little more than 3. So if I count out 1, 2, 3, and a little more, that's going to be a point on my circle. And I'm going to do that in all 4 directions. 1, 2, 3, and a little more. 1, 2, 3, and a little more. 1, 2, 3, and a little more. All right, so if we connect those, and mine's not going to be looking very circular, let's see if we can change that a little bit. There you go. And now you have graphed your circle. All right, let's head to the back side of the notes. If the equation of a circle is x minus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 9, state the center and the radius. All right, so when you're thinking about your center is an ordered pair, and it's actually opposite of what you see in the parentheses. Because remember, it's x minus or h squared plus y minus r k squared equals our radius squared. All right, so if I'm pulling at my x terms, I'm going to have positive 4, and minus a negative is what's going to give me that. So this is a -1. My radius, go ahead and take the square root of our end number, and we get a radius of 3. You try it out with number 6. Come up with a center and a radius. All right, now let me just double check. Yep, my numbers look good for this one. Write the equation of a circle with a center at 2, -1, and passes through 0, 0. Okay, this is going to be just like problem 4 we did, where we had our center and we had what it passed through. So start off with your distance formula to find your radius. All right, so I'm going to get the bare bones set up for you. And you go ahead and do that. When you get there, your radius, I'm just going to give it to you, but I want you to actually do out the work. All right, graph it and use your radius to help you with doing the drawing of the circle. All right, last problem here. It says write the equation of a circle where the diameter endpoints are at 5, -4, and 5, 7. Ooh, this one's totally different. Instead of giving our center and an extra point, we're actually given our diameter. So if we want to do this one, we should find our diameter. That'll help us find our radius. And then we need to find our circle. Now, while we're doing the diameter, our center, while we're doing the diameter, think of how you can find your center based on your diameter endpoints. All right, so now we're finding our diameter. So we're going to plug into our distance formula. Go ahead and pause if you need to be able to figure out where everything's coming from. And 5 minus 5, that's going to turn into 0. So we're going to end up with -11 squared. So square root of 121. So our diameter is 11. If our diameter is 11, we want our radius, and that's going to be 5.5. Now to come up with the center, think about it. Our diameter goes from one end of the circle to the other end, and right in the middle is going to be our center. So if we want to find the middle point of that diameter, we're going to find the midpoint. And so remember, our midpoint formula was x1 plus x2 divide by 2, and y1 plus y2 divide by 2. So if we want to find our center, we are going to add our 2x terms and divide by 2, and we're going to add our 2 y terms and divide by 2. So if we do this, we get a center at 5 and 1.5. Now that you have your radius and your center, you can write the equation all on your own. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.